life worth having is easy. So you got to take the risk. And if you're willing to take the risk and you're willing to work hard, you'll be successful. There's not a one person that I know that has said that, hey, I gave it my absolute best and I failed. Either you'll succeed in that or you're going to create a path that leads you to something else where you're going to create success.
This guy's a heavy hitter. He's got over 1,300 agents internationally, domestically. Let's fucking go. Look, there we go. They know the deal back there. Like hustler season, baby.
I started off as a call center rep back in 2003, high school dropout. Somebody told me about this call center job. I walked in there and I used to make $60 a month. That's how I started. I stayed with that company for 14 years, set up work.
Wow.
Back in 2017, we started with 8 employees, and now between the US offices and Pakistan, we're at 1,300.
I think you don't just look out for the best interest of your clients, you look out for the best interest of everyone around you.
Something I learned very early on is that you take care of the people and they'll take care of the business.
What's your advice to someone back home in Pakistan that's starting out, whether it's affiliate marketing, whatever it is?
Whatever you want to do, give it your absolute best and stay consistent. What you'll find is people chop and change too much. They don't remain consistent, and that's where they lose out the opportunity. The US, everybody takes this opportunity for granted.
Yeah.
I always tell people that if my people had the same opportunity,
Oh my God.
absolutely crush it.
Yeah. LFG show. We're ending lead gen world. This is the last day. This is the last guest on the show. This guy's a heavy hitter. He's got over 1,300 agents internationally, domestically. Let's fucking go. Look, there we go. They know the deal back there. Like hustler season, baby. Yo, it's hustler season. And we got Ali, man. He's at the top of the call center world, doing big things, different verticals, doing a lot of stuff in final expense and insurance right now. So, and I'll tell you one thing, Ali, we interviewed you last year. I think you were even the first interview I did.
Yes, that was
People loved it. They loved your story. So I don't even know where to begin, man. I mean, how's the show been for you so far?
well. First of all, always great to see you.
Always good to
And
see you
this
too.
guy, you'll catch him in the every time I'm out of town, I'll run into him. It's either Dubai or in Florida or in
Anywhere.
anywhere.
All over. Doesn't
all
matter.
over the world.
We're there.
LFG, and by the way, love the content.
Thank you.
Love what you're doing with it, and I love that it's got that natural feel to it.
Yeah.
It's not fabricated. It's like the real deal. I love it.
You can't fake the funk.
Absolutely love it.
Cool. So, man, I've known you for a while, man. We've done a lot of things together. And one thing I can say, you always like looking out for the best interest. I think you don't just look out for the best interest of your clients. You look out for the best interest of everyone around you. And the one thing that really stuck out to me, in one of your booths, you had videos of your call center, your team, and celebrating, a lot of celebration, celebrating victories. And being on the phone is not easy, man. There's a lot of no's, a lot of rejection. It's like mental boot camp. But I feel like you guys have a great culture, right? So maybe we start there. Let's start with the culture and then that whole ethos.
Something I learned very early on is that you take care of the people and they'll take care of the business. And that's been my philosophy, not just in business, but the circle around you as well. Because every relationship, if you just treat that as business, you're only going to get business out of it. But if it has more meaning to it, people will be willing to go beyond the quality for you, whether it's your friends, your family, or your business.
And how did you learn that? Or is that's it been in your blood, or what do you think?
Well, 2 people.
Oh.
One, my dad passed away when I was really young, and I heard a lot of great stories about him. I was only 7 when he passed away. And I was, in my early 20s, and I learned and heard from people just how good he was with other people and how he treated them, and people still remembered him. And it was 15, 20 years on, and that's not normal for, today's times. And then the second person I learned a lot from was my first CEO, Tom Sloan. He passed away. And what I learned from him was that if you treat the people the way you want to be treated, you'll always go big in life. And that's what I've done.
They'll go the extra mile for you, right? Because you went the extra mile for them. It's really what goes around comes around, right?
It's what people don't realize is that if you're in a situation and you have the chance to give somebody the benefit of the doubt, you always do that. Somewhere in the future, it's going to come back to you. It's only down to you taking that leap of faith and just think, you're at peace. You're not concerned. You're doing the right thing. If somebody else does one, slides one by you, it's okay.
Yeah.
It happens. That's life.
Yeah. You move on. I was gonna say, so last year when we spoke, you gave a great story. We talked about is it what I like about call centers and business sales is that it's like to me, it's the equalizer society. It doesn't matter what your background is. You don't have to be the most educated. I think we learn, and maybe it's like this in Pakistan too. I'm not sure, but you learn to go to school, get good grades, become a doctor or whatever. That's the only path. But there's when you learn how to sell, you learn how to deal with people. You have your own masters. Like you can make something out of nothing. And in your story last year, like that did great online for us. We had so much engagement with that. If you could talk about that again, how you started and the whole thing,
Or
man. Yeah.
when you walked into the booth last year, it was a 60 seconds,
Yes.
60-second conversation. But when you posted it, it garnered a lot of reviews. And I think it did well because people can relate to it and people face that challenge every single day. And when they see somebody who's able to fight his way out of it and become successful, people, resonate with that. And so I started off as a call center rep back in 2003. I was 17 years old, high school dropout, no money to afford m- for my education, and also not being able to afford to put bread on the table for my family. And so somebody told me about this call center job. I walk in there and I used to make $60 a month. That's how I started. And from there, I stayed with that company for 14 years, set up work
Wow.
back in 2017, and very limited capital. When I set up work, we started with 8 employees. And now between the US offices and Pakistan, we're at 1,300. So it's a story of not giving up, of determination. But most importantly, during this whole journey, I've only had one major focus, which is always do good by people and you'll be taken care of, right? You do your best and Allah will do the rest.
Yeah. And I think when I first met you, you guys were doing a lot of home services, you do solar, all that stuff, and you pivot. You're doing a lot more insurance verticals,
Mhm.
right? But what do you think is the key? Because the lead generation game is it's so volatile, right? It's like freaking the stock markets, like very like a small cap stock. You have something, man, solar was huge, right? Boom. I think when we first met, that's when things were really, really heating up. So what's especially when you have that payroll, 1,300 lives, and that's just 1,300 people. You got their families, their kids. That 1,300 is really like 13,000. And then the local economies that the supports, right? So that must be very stressful, right? But how do you do that? Because the most I've had in the call center is 250, which to me was a lot, right? I can't imagine 1,300. So yeah, how do you manage those ebbs and flows?
So when I set up work, I I had one big goal, which was that over the years, we're gonna become less and less client dependent,
Mm,
which means owning the end-to-end process, whether it be insurance or anything else that we were gonna do.
mm.
It ended up it ended up being final expense, and we set up our own agencies, and we brought 90% of the business in-house. So when you're working for clients, one of the challenges that you run into is you're dependent on their demand. And when you have so many people and so many lives at stake, you can't run and operate like that. So over the years, we've transitioned from being a marketing company to being a fully licensed insurance IMO. And now our whole business is in-house. We're doing final expense sales using our own marketing, and then our own marketing is then garnered towards our other downlines for final expense. So the whole transition from being a marketing company that was reliant on customers to being fully independent has been the way and the journey that's actually allowed us to scale to the level that we're at.
And you're more control your destiny. Right,
Absolutely.
is what it comes down to, and I think a lot of you see that happen in ACA, a lot of guys are great marketers, they had the supply, they created their own agencies in ACA, right? I heard of one other guy was trying to final expense, I don't know if it worked out for him, but yeah, final expense is great. Yeah, talk more about that vertical, yeah.
So final expense is actually not the easiest vertical to be in because there's a lot of attrition. But if you do it the right way, you write good business and you've got a great customer service retention operation, it's good. At the end of the day, it's a struggling economy. And more people are afraid that they will not be able to cover the burial. So it's costing on average $15,000 out of pocket.
Yeah.
And people feel that, and it's a fascinating product too, because you think about it, the consumer buys something that they actually don't ever use.
Mm.
It's not for them. It's for somebody else to get advantage of after we after they pass away. So it's a fascinating product, but the product itself exists because consumers can't afford to pay the burial. But the biggest downside of final expense also is that consumers have to pay $80 a month out of pocket. So sometimes they're not comfortable paying that amount. So it's a very fine line between somebody who can afford to pay and somebody who wants it.
Do you know the KPI or the metrics in terms of how many? I'm assuming is this all U.S. final
Yeah.
expense? What percentage of Americans have final expense insurance? Do you know that?
So 10,000 Americans turn 65 every day.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
So the boomers, and that keeps on adding to the population. Our target market is between 50 to 80. I don't have the exact number of what percentage still has it, but people are always looking for better coverage. They're looking for additional coverage and or a referral. Like we've not ever run to a saturation point.
Mhm. Is anyone doing? I don't think I heard about final expense heating up probably August. We threw an event in Colombia called Colombia Con, and that was a lot of people seem to be transitioning from ACA to final expense at the time. But it seems like a lot of the media buyers had a hard time finding the clients that were dependent that would actually pick up the phones. There were bad call concurrency caps where they send all these calls, accept rates are really low. Have you found any ones that crack it on the pay per call side? Because I mean, you would think with 10,000 people turning 65 every day, that this vertical will be super, super hot, right? But it seems like there are challenges with it as well.
So the challenge is remaining profitable
Okay.
when you're running the business because marketing CPAs can go out of hand pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And what hurts the business is the attrition, right? So for us, when we were selling calls, Gerber Life was one of our largest clients, and Select Quote has been for a few years. And what we found was that if you maintain a consistent quality of call, there's enough buyers for you out there.
Mhm.
You're looking at a 20% conversion rate. As long as you can get a 20% conversion,
So you're saying for every 100 leads that you talk to, 20% should convert, or what?
Yeah.
How is it? Okay.
100 leads, 20% should convert to a sale.
Yeah.
And that's a good quality call.
Okay. You guys do anything with the Hispanic market in final expense?
So it's interesting that you bring it up. Hispanic market is a huge untapped opportunity.
I know.
And that's something that we're working on.
You know what? So my wife's Colombian, right? My mom's Venezuelan. When I'd go to my in-laws' house, they're watching the Spanish shows, Univision, Telemundo, the big Spanish networks, and I've always done Spanish something, right? I was a student loan consolidation. We had some Spanish campaigns. Everything we did in Spanish always worked better. It's just some of them were harder to scale, the Spanish shoulder, but I'm always attuned to what's going on in the marketing side. I like to watch the commercials. Every commercial break, there was a final expense commercial, one or two during the break. There was home warranty as well, right? Auto insurance. So, and I saw this years ago, like 3 or 4 years ago. I never really did anything with it, but that's what popped in my mind. It's talking about final expense. I'm thinking about those commercials, right? And
So Spanish is being done TV ads the most,
yeah,
but there's a tremendous opportunity to do it over telesales. I mean, tremendous. Untapped.
I'm sure.
Completely.
Where's the US center at? I'm sure that's where the agents are at, right?
Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, it's a Fort Lauderdale. Wow, that's
We have
crazy.
3 locations here.
Okay.
And then all of our downlines, majority of Florida. We do have some other ones
Yeah.
across the country. But our biggest transition has been from a marketing company to being a insurance agency to now being an IMO, where our IMO is called iWork,
Okay.
and we are able to offer contracts for final expense and ACA, and we're doing it on our 12 months, which nobody else has currently available, which is a 12 months in advance.
Got it. What's been your biggest challenge with this transition?
Actually, perfecting a model because you want to bring on board partners and you want to see them succeed.
Yeah.
And we've come up with something called an agency in a box, and we give them the contracts,
Wow.
the marketing, the training, and the customer service. So we're giving it's like a franchise model. We give them the whole playbook, including the financials,
Oh.
which are ready-made, built in with projections on how much cash outlay they're going to have for the first 6 months, when exactly will they be profitable, what metrics they need to hit to be profitable. We share that with them, then we bring them to our office, train them for a couple of weeks within our office, within our working environment, and then we send them out. And then we are involved with them on a weekly basis to ensure that they are successful.
Yeah.
So we now have over 25 downlines. Barring one, every single one of them has been successful.
That's amazing. I love that name because my partner Ed Payne. We have a company called Roofs in a Box. What we do is similar. What you do with the agencies, we're doing with the roofing companies. Because what's interesting is, I think that you'll appreciate this, and I'm saying this in a good way. Solar was like this. Solar is a bunch of sales guys that knew how to sell. They start making money, then they hire people, and they don't realize all the complexities of running a business. They roofing the same way. So it's, every business is that way. So when you could accelerate the collapse time frames and teach people, we're going to make mistakes in business, but you can lessen the impact. Some mistakes can take you out of business. So I love that concept. What you're doing, we're doing that with roofing right now, and it's working. It's one of my favorite products.
So that's
Yeah.
actually what set us aside. You asked me earlier what's been our biggest challenge, right? That would have been a biggest challenge. So I put myself in other agency owners' shoes. And Jay, who's my partner on the IMO side, he is from the ACA background and we had the final expense background. But we took both of those models, combined them, created an IMO that gives everybody a complete, it's like somebody could walk to us with a blank piece of paper. He just wants to do it. And if he's got the cash flow and he wants to do it, we'll show them how to do it and
Yeah.
it works.
There's a new endeavor called Roofs in the Box. It's just, man, from day one, it's taken off.
When I first started getting into the roofing industry, what was happening was my fixed costs were always there. And so for me, I was looking at how can we kind of, one, save on these costs, and then two, how do I not lay people off during down times? But also maybe even the ability to pocket more money during the slow season or even the peak season. Since we've done this before, like with our lead gen companies where we have virtual staffing and from Argentina or Colombia, I'm like, why don't we do the same thing in the construction business? Now, once we figured it out, so we reduced their fixed cost by 70%. And so now during the downtime, they have real seasoned veteran type of players. But during the uptime, they pocket 70% of their operational costs are now going back in their pocket. And then when it's time to scale, they have the back end prepared, already ready to go to help them like lift off. Depending on what state you're in, you're averaging about 12.5% on what you pay out on taxes, insurance, all the different insurances that you have to pay out, right? So yeah, you don't have to pay out unemployment, you don't have to pay out FICA insurance, Medicare, Social Security, the things that business owners have to eat.
Roofs in the Box is not just limited to roofing or home improvement companies.
You can use it for any services, right? You can use it for IT. We use them internally for data sales, for hygiene, for analytics. It doesn't even matter what the vertical is.
It's like business in the box at the end of the day.
Pretty
is what it
much,
comes
yeah.
down to. I like that you transition to that model. We're doing the same thing as well with home improvement. Home improvement's been our main bread and butter, solar, home improvement. But how do we go deeper? Going deeper. I think that guys like us have been doing this for a while. We're good. We know how to generate the leads. We know where to get the leads. We got call centers. We got those aspects of post. But how do you go deeper? How do you get a bigger piece of the pie? 'Cause and I don't want to say this. I don't. People don't take offenses, but I feel like when you're doing lead gen, you're getting crumbs. You're getting crumbs, and then you can take a lot of crumbs, and it can become like a slice. But how do you get a bigger piece of that pie? But that's how you get deeper. You have to become your own agency. You have to become your own roofing company, whatever, and that's how you get deeper. And that's best for our clients. That's what's best for our employees. That's how they grow with us, and everybody wins at the end of the day.
And it brings consistency to the business,
Yeah.
right? Nothing in life worth having is easy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you got to take the risk. And if you're willing to take the risk and you're willing to work hard and work really hard, like not superficially, like from here, you'll be successful. There's not a one person that I know that has said that, hey, I gave it my absolute best and I failed. There isn't one. Either you'll succeed in that or you're going to create a path that leads you to something else where you're going to create success.
Yeah.
That's why they say that we just want you to give your best because everybody knows if you give your best, you don't fail.
Yeah, I love that you said that. And it's true. When I think about anything I've ever done good in life, I give it my best. It always worked. It's just stuff that you didn't give your best, and maybe your heart wasn't in it. There was like a reason for that, right? And that's why you didn't move in that direction.
And even failures, right? Like I look at failures, like if you look at the eagle, whenever it's flying against the wind, but it uses the flight against the wind to take it higher. And that's the philosophy in life. Like if you are against the odds are against you and you're flying against the wind and you're facing difficult circumstances, they're only meant for one reason, to give you better perspective and take you higher so you can become who you need to become to get to where you need to get.
I love it. And I want to say something else, right? This probably resonate with you, right? You're from Pakistan, right? And I know, like, listen, my mom, it's kind of so. My mother came from Venezuela, right? Worked hard, came to America, worked hard, put food on the table, help me get to where I'm at, right? And I think people look at you as an inspiration there because obviously, it's a developing country. You have there that's growing like crazy. So, what's your advice to someone back home in Pakistan? They're trying to make it. Maybe they're trying to get from where they're at to over here. I mean, you've done it. What's your advice to someone like that that's starting out, whether it's affiliate market, whatever it is, but they have a desire to make it, but maybe they need a little bit of guidance.
There's absolutely nothing that you can't do. You pick what you want to do, you believe in yourself, and you give it your absolute best. And it could be anything in the world. It could be anything in the world. And I say that because I have no education, right? Don't come from money, and born bred in Pakistan. And I sit and operate with you fine people now here, and we're doing it at a scale that it's fascinating for a lot of people. They're not able to even understand how we made that happen, and in the process, because and so those three things, and the other thing is always do it the right way. Right? If you do things right, you get taken care of automatically. And so my advice would be that whatever you want to do, give it your absolute best and stay consistent. So it's taken us 8 years of working on final expense to get to where we're at. To become an IMO, it's taken us 8 years. And what you'll find is people chop and change too much. They don't remain consistent. And that's where they lose out the opportunity.
That's great advice. And I think also, listen, from Pakistan to America, penetrating these circles, right, and getting in with these big average Gerber. You mentioned Gerber. That's a freaking tens of billions of dollars worth of company. I don't know. I think that'd be $30 or $50 billion company. So to actually gain their confidence, right? Because I mean, we're talking about this. I mean, there's stereotypes, especially Americans dealing with overseas countries. There's stuff that happens, but to get your foot in the door there, right? That must have been a battle. But once you're in the door, then you got to be consistent because actions speak louder than words at the end of the day, right?
So we actually had that with Select Code. I met Select Code in 2021. And they're like, so where's your call center? So generally what the marketing companies do here is that they'll tell them that they're selling them onshore calls, but they're actually offshore
Bait and
calls,
switch. Yeah.
right? So he asked me, where's your call center? I said, Pakistan. And he's like, okay, so you're offshore. I'm like, yes. Okay, so we're going to pay you this much for those calls. I said, why does it matter where the call is coming from? What you need to be giving me money for is the quality of the call. And if the quality of the call is great, then that's what we're going to get paid for, whether we're onshore and offshore. And so it ended up being one of our best relationships, and they paid us all onshore pricing, and we've had it run for years.
That's great. I'm glad you said it. Is knowing your worth.
Yeah.
And having confidence is to just to stand up for it, right? That it's funny in Colombia they call it the gringo prices.
Great.
You know,
Yeah.
if they knew you come from America, boom, you're paying 40% higher, right? But now you got to fight for it. So I'm glad you said it because a lot of times people will bend, and then that becomes a habit. You start bending everywhere, and then running a business is all about that cash. You need to have freaking cash flow. So if you give one guy a deal, then give another guy a deal, where the hell did your cash go, right? So you need that to survive, especially the hard times. So I'm glad that you said that, knowing your worth. And you, at the end of the day, you know your product is good.
Absolutely.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Otherwise, and at the end of the day, for us, the biggest advantage is that because we run our own rooms, we know our calls convert. So it's the easiest testament to what we do.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. You're calling on it. It's not the lead. It's who is working the lead. That's one of the biggest challenges of selling leads. Whatever vertical you're in, I can say from my experience, 85, maybe 90% of clients they don't have it buttoned down. They don't have the call center cadence right. They're not have the right scripts. And then they blame the leads when they're not working the leads properly, right? So that's one of the issues, right? But the fact that you're doing it yourself, you know what's working, what's not working, and it makes all the sense in the world.
And Pakistanis are smart people.
Yeah,
So you
sure.
give them a vertical, they'll figure it out, and they'll become the best at it. And that's what's happened with Final Expense. Final Expense marketing, Pakistan generates some of the best Final Expense marketing out there. And not just me, like there's obviously a number of other companies, and I'm absolutely proud of what they've achieved. Because remember, the US, everybody takes this opportunity for granted. You're born with it. And, obviously, like you said, your mother worked hard and put bread on the table for you and brought you up the way she did. But here in the US, what I find is a lot of people take all of this for granted. I
Yeah.
always tell people that if my people had the same opportunity,
Oh my God.
absolutely crush it.
Yeah.
The hunger is there. They want to succeed. They're young people. They want to do well. And sure, like in every business and in every society, there's good people and bad people, but the good far outweighs the bad.
Yeah. And you find out fast. And I could tell we started working together. You guys were different. You honored your word. You say, hey, this is what's gonna happen. It happened. There was no BS, right? And that's why the reputation, this whole business reputation.
Absolutely.
Only 1,500 people are at this event. And they weed out the advertisers to make sure this is really an advertiser. So I was talking to Mike Fareed before this, who runs Contact.io and Lead Gen World. And it's a small niche is what it comes down to. And especially now with social media.
Yeah.
I mean, the word will go out quicker than ever if it's freaking a bad product, but you've got a great reputation. You always did the right thing by us, man. And I'm excited, man. We're gonna do some final expense stuff together.
Absolutely.
We're gonna
Absolutely. And the playbook, like I was sharing earlier, for final expense agencies or AC agencies or U65 agencies that are looking to move into final expense, it's a cash cow.
Yep.
It's a cash cow. You do it right, you're going to make good money. It doesn't need a lot of startup capital. You're looking, and if you're starting off a
How much
10,
dollar capital? Yeah, would you need?
if you start off with a 10 to 15 man room, you're looking at 100K. And that's it. By month 3, you're breaking even and they're on the journey.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would have thought 6 months, maybe 9 months. That's not bad.
Third month. So the model that we have built
Yeah.
ensures that you're successful monthly. We're super involved. We're basically replicating everything that we do
Yep.
in your office.
I love it. That's the agency in the box, right?
That's the agency in a box. And it resonates. The agency in a box ensures with our support you're successful.
Yeah. That was great. Listen, Ali, I know you're a hard guy to pin down, man. It's like we you travel a lot, I travel a lot, and we've been wanting to do this for a while. And I appreciate Mastermind. Let's do it. We get a lot of love over there, man. With LFG, we did a live over there. My God, man, a lot of love. And they're like, I can see the hunger. You could tell people are like hungry to learn. They're hungry to advance, and that's exciting. And going back to what you're saying about, listen, I don't know what happens. I have a son, I have a daughter, I have 3 kids, and I want them to have the hunger I have, right? And I don't know, it's yeah, and I'm hoping that they're gonna grow up different than how I grew up.
So I
So-
struggle with that. Struggle in the sense that it's always at the back of my head. I have a young son, and then I've got nieces and nephews, and I'm always trying to teach them. And I obviously take care of them, but at the same time, I'm trying to teach them the value of everything that they have, and that if somebody's trying to climb a mountain and he's got a backpack full of stones, heavy stones, it's much more challenging for him to climb. Somebody who's climbing that same mountain without a backpack and just by himself, he should go higher, right? Not the other way around. And you'll find that it is the other way around. So I'm trying to teach them exactly what you just said, that because they have everything given to them, everything's taken care of, they should achieve way more, not just for themselves, because you've got one life, right? The legacy that you're going to leave behind is what you did for other people. Nobody's going to remember how much money we made, how successful we were. It is what we do for other people. And what you do for other people, you have to become somebody to be able to help other people. If I myself did not create any success, I did not have the discipline or the hunger, I could not do anything for people around me. And with the blessings of Allah, I'm able to take care of my people in Pakistan. We've built people here and offices here, and we take good care of them and my family. And it wouldn't be possible if I didn't become somebody myself. So that onus is on our children, that become somebody that you are able to benefit other people. Our existence is insignificant if we can't add value to other people's lives.
That's great what you said. I mean, that hit me in the heart, and that's one of the beautiful things of being a business owner, entrepreneur. That the impact you could leave, and the impact they give to you. You see someone grow, you see them excel in life, and like, man, you had an impact on that, and they help you grow. You want to keep doing it. Becomes like it's like a good addiction, man. You just gotta, yeah, let's keep.
Some things money can't buy.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, when I do things for people, people always ask me, man, you do so much and you do this for this person. And I'm like, if you knew what giving felt like, you wouldn't even ever ask for anything.
It's priceless.
It's priceless.
It is.
It makes you feel so good that you want to do it and you want to become even more successful so you could do more for other people and set your own standard, right? You want to compete with yourself and you want to become better. I mean, look, time's going to run out. Our most valuable resource is time. And if we become somebody during that period, if we're able to contribute to lives and change them, then we've done what we were sent here for.
Powerful words, beautiful. The last thing I'll leave off with is tied to this. You are what I admire about you, and I know how hard it is having a family, having kids, trying to keep your family happy, balancing work and family. You posted a lot of social media. You take you guys have some wonderful memories, right? You're working hard, but you're also enjoying the time with the family, man. And that there's a lot to be said to that. So hats off to you because I know how challenging it is. It's hard.
If you remember The Godfather,
Yeah.
Don Corleone, he goes like, a man who doesn't spend time with his family isn't a real man, right? And that's super important because the reason you make money is to have the independence to be able to spend your time. People have it rewired, like they have it wired the wrong way. What people generally believe is that if you're making money and you have to make more money, you have to be even more focused on what you're doing. You do that, but at the same time, you're actually making money so you can have the independence to spend time with your family. So I was just in Dubai with all my nieces and nephews and my son, my family, my wife, my mother. And we spent like 3 weeks there and we had a blast. And my whole family is like, dude, you guys were just there in the summer. I was like, dude, the kids are going to grow up, right? And they're going to go their own way. And this is something that I want them to have that they can cherish for the rest of their life. Those memories that they're going to create, irreplaceable. Because you're never going to be that age again, right? So for you to be able to enjoy life, you need to have 3 things that always sync up. Number 1, you need to have good health, right? Number 2, you need to have the money, right? And number 3, you need to have the time. Not always all 3 of them are going to sync up. So when you do get all 3 synced up, take advantage of it,
Oh, you're right, 100%.
right?
Wow, powerful stuff. And I'm the same way, you know.
No, I see you all the time, and I love when you come down to Dubai and you bring your family
Yeah.
and you spend time with your kids, and I love that because it shows me, yes, we're about making money, we're about creating success, but it's for us as mentors showing other people that taking care of family trumps everything else.
Yeah, and now, it shows that, and it helps create that for them, and then our kids see it, and they're gonna do the same thing with their kids. Memories, right? That's what it comes down to. It's the memories, because that's money comes and goes, right? It's transient, but those memories last forever, man. And
The other concept people have is they keep saving money,
yeah,
right? What for?
Yeah.
Money, the piece of paper that we work so hard, it only has value if it is used to bring you happiness for what you need it for, right? So it could be a trip, it could be something that you buy for yourself or your family, right? It's a tool. Money itself, you could have $1 million in your room and look at it every day. It's not going to make you happy. What are you going to do with it, right? It's when you spend it is when it brings happiness,
yeah.
and people don't understand.
So it
Right?
keeps the economy going. Yeah.
You spend the money, that brings you happiness and brings happiness to people around you. So it's, even my family, right? Like my siblings and my extended family, they're always like, you're always taking so many trips. Ali, when are you going to be home? And I'm like, dude, I could have all the money in the world in the future, and if I can't enjoy that with my family,
Yeah, exactly.
right? If I am too old or they're caught up in their life, what good is it? The time to have fun is now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And still, work hard. Like, you work hard. And I mean, think about it, right? The biggest advantage you and me have and other entrepreneurs really have now is that they can build large teams, they can delegate, and they can travel.
Correct.
And you could not do that 20 years ago.
Oh,
So the internet has given us this ability, great communication, and that we should take advantage of it.
100%. Well, Lo, that was a great way to end this. Ali, really pleasure having you on the show. How can people find out more about Agency in the Box and all this stuff? 'Cause I think that's a very valuable product. So agencyinthebox.com or what?
So Agency in a Box, and actually we're actually in the process of creating a website that saves Agency in a Box.
Okay.
Yeah, we're having a hard time getting it.
Yeah, I do. It's like LFG. I can't get the .com. I can't find who owns it. I got the .net. It's not easy, man.
It is not easy.
Yeah.
It is not easy. But for now, they can reach us at www.wforwork.com, and then I'll drop my contact information
Good.
in there.
We won't put a link for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the people in Pakistan, how do we say no money, no honey? Like, teach me.
Well, LFG resonates in the US and Pakistan. It's no money, no honey. Paisa hai, to sab kuch hai.
Man, what if I
Must
say
go paisa.
Pesa? Let's go, Pesa.
And then, we go with Pakistan Zindabad.
Pakistan, no but.
Pakistan Zindabad.
That's it. You gotta be Pakistan Zimbadat. Almost. I got appreciate it, man.
Get ready to level your shit up with the LFG show. We travel the globe to bring you heavy hitters from all walks of life. We've been talking some serious business, from the best digital marketers, government contracting experts, to top athletic and celebrity doctors. We've got it all covered. We're talking to guys with cash in for billions with a B. And the best thing is, we're just getting started. So hold on tight. We're about to crank it up a notch. Get ready for next level networking and masterminds within the LFG community. Scared money don't make no money or honey. Hit the subscribe button, drop a like, leave a comment, and let's fucking go.